Grace and peace be multiplied unto you. Thank you again for logging in with us for another walking through the Word Bible class for these next 30 to 25 minutes as we prepare ourselves to continue and embark upon our study together. So thank God for each of you, and thank you for logging in with us. I'm just trying to make sure that we are on our schedule. That's why you see me fanning there. Don't worry about what I'm fanning at. Just know I'm just trying to make sure that we stay within our allotted time that God has given us to share and continue to share with you. You know, when we left you on last week, I left you with the question, are you improving? Do you need to improve? And most importantly, I talked about promotion. Who are you promoting? Have you gotten to the place where it's all about self? And as a result of being all about self, you've allowed the awful attributes, the awful characteristics of envying, strife, and bitterness to remain resting in your heart. And as a result of that, everywhere you go, there's strife. That's a challenge, people of God, because we should be beacons of peace. We should walk in peace. We should walk in harmony. And the question becomes, if you're in an environment and there's not peace, then why? Jot that one. If you walk in an environment and there is not peace, why? Why? Are you no longer peaceful within? And so you don't even know how to have external peace or to create peace with humanity because there's no peace in you. How do we solve this? How do we correct this? Because who wants to live their lives warring in strife, bitter, heart heavy, angry, jealous? Who wants to live their lives with all of the negative stuff in their heart? Do you? Do you? Answer that. Do you? Wherever you are, is that who I want to be? Is it healthy for me? Or do I want to get on this track of self-improvement and remain on it? Or am I content, complacent, comfortable with being bitter? You like being bitter? Do you like being envious? Do you like strife? Does it do something for you? When stuff is not going well and people are not connecting, do you get a joy out of that? Does that make you feel bigger or better? Then that's a problem. Don't be proud if that's who you are. But set out to say, I want to change this course. I want to change this narrative. I've got to change this because it's not healthy. Self-promotion. And everywhere I go, there's rivalry because I am trying to promote me. And now I ignore truth because I'm so bitter, because I'm so envious, because I've decided to create a culture of strife, division, frustration. I like that. And so now I can't even hear the truth. And so do you want to live your life based off of non-truth? Or do you want to live your life based off on that which is true, that which is healthy, principles and precepts that can change your life? How do you want to live? Has it kicked in? Are you that bitter? Are you that full of envy and strife? Where does this behavior come from? Yep, definitely comes from the heart. But then, how does it get to the heart? That's the question we want to ask tonight. How do I get this particular behavior? How does it get to the heart? Because that's the question we want to answer. Where does it come from? And how do I change the course? James chapter 3 gives us some insight, some information on where it comes from. This wisdom, James chapter 3, verse number 15 says, this wisdom descended not from above. This wisdom descended not from above. Wisdom referring to acknowledging that it does exist. This does exist, that you're intelligent enough and smart enough to understand that what I am feeling and what I am doing really does exist. But where does it come from? This level of self-promotion, this attitude, this envious nature, this bitterness, this strife, this disconnect. Everywhere you go, there's no peace. There is nothing else but you and your attitude of self-promotion. Where does it come from? James says, this wisdom, acknowledging that it does exist, descended not from above. But here it is. But it is earthly, sensual, and devilish. That's where it came from. That's where it derived from. Came not from above. It didn't come from godly promotion, but it came because you got so caught up in this earthly realm. And that all of a sudden, this earthly realm, it became who you wanted to be. It became all about your desire, sensual, your desire. And your desire has gotten you in trouble because it's all about you and your self-promotion. He says it does not descend from above, but it's already right here with you. And that's why you got to have enough wisdom and knowledge to understand what you need to release and what needs to remain. So much pulling at us. It's easy to fall into the trap of that which is calling for us, summoning us. Why? Because it appeals to our naughty and sensual nature. Our earthly nature is always seeking something. And if you're not careful, it'll have you at a place where the truth is irrelevant and it's all about your own desire. And because it's all about your own desire, guess what happens? Guess what happens? You ignore that which is true. You remember? You remember? Pause for a minute. Take a retrospective view. You remember? How did Adam and Eve get in trouble with all that they had before them? With everything that God had granted unto them. The beauty of his creation, the beauty of it all. Guess who showed up? Somebody, a serpent, with his appealing to the desire of Eve. He appealed to the sensual nature, and all of a sudden, what was not good for her, he made it look good to her, and before you know it, strife and chaos has now entered into an environment. Why? Because Eve operated in the earthly realm and self-promotion. Self-desire kicked in, and all of a sudden she wanted what God said you cannot have. And the devil says, it's better for you. It'll make you equal to him. And all of a sudden, the truth was no longer important, just my desire. I believe, people of God, it's a problem that we have now in 21st century. We've got to look at when the truth is no longer important, as long as my desires are being met, as long as I'm being satisfied, as long as it's about me. I don't care about the truth. I just want to satisfy me. And your heart is in a bad place when it's just about those sensual desires. James says it's devilish because it did not come from heaven, but it came from the earthly realm. The reason perhaps you can't improve, the reason perhaps there's envious and bitterness in your heart, because you never operate beyond earthly thinking. You don't never arrive to the place of spirituality. You don't ever combat earthly thinking with spiritual principles, and therefore you always find yourself chasing after your own desire because you haven't disciplined yourself enough to say, no, I'm not going to operate at this place when God has called me to this realm. Your earthly desires have become more important, and so your heart is in a bad place, because when you desire for self-satisfaction, nothing else would matter to you, especially when you're gung-ho on just satisfying self. And when you don't satisfy self, you get bitter, you get envious, you get full of strife. Why? Because I ain't getting what I want. And I think the problem with the church today is we got too many people trying to get what they want, and 1 minute they want this, next minute they want this, the next minute they want that, and we don't know how to be consistent and commitment to what we already have, and we're always searching and looking for something else when God has says, I've already given you what you need. What's happening, my friends? Have you gotten so caught up in what you desire that nothing else around you matters? No other human matters. Nothing else matters but you. You won't even take into account or consideration of how you're making somebody else feel. You just want everybody to feel what you feel. Is that right? Is that right? Just feel what I feel. Is that right? And how many times, because we operate in the earthly realm, is that we retaliate pain with pain, hurt with hurt, damage with damage. And there's no room for recovery, reconciliation, restoration. None of those things are important to us. Why? Because I just want you to feel how I feel, even if my feelings are wrong. Are you saying, Pastor Johnson, we shouldn't feel? Don't you dare twist what I'm trying to teach you and make such a statement, because feelings are real. Feelings are also neutral. I don't struggle with how you feel. I struggle with what you're going to do with them, though. What are you going to do with how you feel? Are you going to treat me based upon how you feel? And guess what? You could cause me damage, but that's how you feel. I think people ought to feel how they feel. But I think you ought to have enough wisdom to acknowledge how you feel. Therefore, it'll cause you to pause and say, wait a minute, I cannot act based upon how I'm feeling right now, because it could get me in a world of trouble. Because that type of behavior of how I feel does not descend from the heavenly place, but it appeals to the earthly sensual desire, and it becomes devilish. Here it is. This earthly, but it's earthly, sensual, and devilish. In verse number 16, he says, look at this. Watch what James says, verse number 16. For where envying and strife is, watch this, there is confusion and every evil work. What? You mean to tell me I've been trying to figure out what the problem is, and the Bible is telling us and giving us modern day information based upon historical truths? He says wherever there's envy and strife, there is confusion and every evil work. Nothing good can come when there's envying. Nothing good can come when there's strife. Every work, it'll be confusion. Every work, it'll be evil. You got to ask yourself, what does my work look like? Am I working from envy and strife? Or am I working from wisdom, self-promoting the principles and the precepts of God? Promoting the principles and the precepts of God and eliminating self-promotion. Where are you operating, my friend? Because, watch this, wherever there's confusion is because there's envy and strife. Wherever there's confusion, there's envy and strife. Wherever there is confusion, there's envy and strife. Are you confused? Are you unbalanced? Are you at a place where you don't know where you should be? Where am I going? Who am I? Am I improving? Am I not? Am I self-promoting? Is it about me? Is it about my sensual desires? Where did it come from? Am I arrived at a place where my heart is all messed up? I'm unstable. I'm double-minded. What am I doing? Are you confused? Don't tell anybody. You can pray about it, and then you can say, you know what? Let me check my heart and see, have I allowed to remain envious? Have I become so envious? And strife kicked in, and all of a sudden now, I'm confused about everything I'm doing. I don't know if I should go left or should I go right. Should I go in the center or should I go to my right? I don't know what path to take. Are you confused? Because if you are, it was established based upon envious and strife. Because the reason why you start searching out and looking for something different is because all of a sudden your desires were more important than anything else. And so your desires became your God. And all of a sudden, when your desires became your God, all of a sudden now, you're at a place where you want to control what your God does. Because your heart is in a bad place. And so while you think you're doing good, all of your work is disguised behind spiritual zeal, when in reality it's devilish and evil work. Why? Because it comes from a place of strife and envy, and no good can come out of it, is what the text is trying to teach us. You can't even disguise it. The only person that you can trick is yourself. What are we doing? What's your work? What are you working on? What are you setting out to accomplish? And then what's your desire? What's your motivation behind it? Why is it that you want to do it? Where does it come from? Because if it comes from strife and envy, the text teaches us there is confusion in every evil work. Wait a minute. Every evil work, yes. It shows up when you show up, because your heart is in a bad place. Wait a minute. You mean I cannot hide it? I can't pretend like I want to see good happen? Nope. Because your heart won't let you. Your heart won't let you be at peace with mankind because in your heart you have envy and strife. And where there's peace, there's not envy and strife. And because one descends from one place and another descends from another, they have to be direct opposites of one another. And no longer can they hang out. They can't hang out with one another. Where there's peace, there can't be envy. Where there's envy, there can't be peace. So they both don't hang out. So all of a sudden, you can't try to hide it, camouflage it, make it something different, and try to disguise it, because you can't, my friend. You can't, because confusion sets in, and the text says every evil work. I got to run, but in verse 17 it says this, but the wisdom that is from above is first pure, it's peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. Look at the direct opposite of these characteristics compared to the earthly realm. Wisdom from above, peaceable, gentle, easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. In other words, they're direct opposites. Where your heart is right, the wisdom that comes from above, guess what the first thing it is? It's full of peace. Why? Because it's the opposite of strife. The environment changes when your heart is in the right place. Peace is there. And then not only peace, but here's something the church needs to learn. We've got to learn how to be gentle. Gentle. Treat each other with gentleness. And easy to be entreated. Easy for us to connect and get along because we're doing it from a place of peace, from a place of being gentle. Full of mercy. Here's something we struggle with. Full of mercy. Because when there's envious and bitterness and strife, you will not grant mercy unto humanity. You want everybody to be punished for their wrongs, but you want mercy for yours. How does that work? Because what's good for you has to be good for me. If you want to have mercy, then give me some mercy. Why is it that in Christendom we struggle with mercy? We struggle with having peace. We struggle with gentleness. We struggle with being easily connecting to one another in an environment where we say Christ is the center of it. Why do we struggle? Why? Because self-promotion creeps in. And when self-promotion creeps in, you don't want to see good happen to anybody but you. Sad commentary, my friend. I want to see peace in your life. Let's be gentle with one another. Let's be easy to be entreated, connecting to one another, full of mercy, and watch this, good fruits. And without partiality. You know what that is, don't you? If I like you, I'll promote you. I'll give you peace. I'll work with you if I like you. But if I don't, strife and envy is what I'm going to demonstrate to you. The principle of sowing and reaping is critical when you start thinking about what you do from your heart. I was amazed. I was amazed when I'm looking at sports and looking at some of the entertainment aspects of what is being televised, and I was this last MMA UFC fighting piece and listening to Conor McGregor and his boisterous attitude about how well he does what he does. And I know a lot of that is marketing, and a lot of that he's trying to entertain and sell tickets. I get it. I get it. But he says to a pointer, I think the guy's name was the last fight, says when he leaves the ring this time, he'll leave on a stretcher. That's what he said. He'll leave on a stretcher. It's interesting because the other guy was like, you know what, I understand the marketing aspect of it. He's like, that's a little bit too far because you're talking about my livelihood. And so he'll leave on a stretcher. And I watch the video, I watch the fight, and all of a sudden, the guy who told the other guy who was going to leave on the stretcher ends up fracturing his ankle in the midst of that fight. Guess how they took him to the locker room? In a stretcher. Because you've got to be careful what you wish upon somebody else. What are you saying, Pastor Johnson? You've got to want other people to have good fruits, to have success, to be at peace with one another. You've got to want to not to have partiality because I like you. You get benefits, but if I don't like you, you don't get any benefits. Where does that come from? Not from above. Hypocrisy, which has been the Achilles heel of the church. You know what that is. Say one thing but do another. It's an area for all of us to improve upon. That if I have good conversation, that's going to be followed by good conduct. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say one thing and turn around and do the opposite of what I just said. Because what I'm doing is showing or demonstrating that I'm envious and I'm full of strife and that my heart is in the wrong place. Where's your heart? What are you giving out? What fruit are you releasing to other people? Is it good fruit? Is it bad fruit? Only you know. Are you living at peace? Are you promoting gentleness? Easy to get along with. Are you that person? Are you full of mercy? You understand that mistakes happen and people make decisions that they regret. Are you saying, oh, look what they did? Are you saying, you know what? Hey, there's room for recovery. Because you're going to need the same thing at a later date. You got to make sure that your heart is in the right place so that what you produce is consistent around the board. And what you say is aligned with what you're going to do. It's a challenge. People are hurting, fighting, trying to survive and live. We need to create a culture where we can nourish them to the place of healthiness, and then they can excel to their place of potential. We can't do it, though, if there's envy and strife, because wherever that is, there's confusion and evil work. Has our work remained heavenly, or has our work become earthly? It's a good question for the church today. What are we doing with our work? What are you doing with what you do? Is it to benefit others, or is it all about self? Grace and peace be multiplied unto you. Thank you for hanging out with us these 29, 28 minutes for another Walking Through the Word experience. God bless you. I love you so much. Please govern yourselves according to the announcements that are coming forth. Great things are happening. Great things are happening for our ministry, and we want to make sure that you're taking full advantage of what God is doing for us. Sister Johnson is coming with our announcements. Until next time, we'll see you. As always, thank you for being a Hill Watcher.
Thank you, Pastor Johnson, for the word of God on tonight. We certainly appreciate you. Join us for Sunday school at 9 a.m. via conference call every Sunday. The number can be found on our Facebook page as well as our website. Mount Calvary is open for in-person worship. You must wear your mask, sign in, and get your temperature taken for worship service. The CDC guidelines will be enforced. Join us on next Wednesday, July 28th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. for community prayer at Town Center Apartments. We will not have in-person Bible class. However, you can log on for virtual Bible class. We will see you there. Men, wear your suits. Women, wear your big brim hats for worship on Sunday, August the 1st, 2021. Pastor Johnson is asking Mount Calvary to wear your Sunday best. If you do not have something, please wear what you have. Don't let that stop you for showing up for worship. The Mission Ministry is sponsoring a teen retreat for August 6th through 8th, 2021. If you're interested in getting more information for your teen, please see Sister Jeanette Ellaby. Our annual church conference will be held on Friday, August the 20th, 2021 at Hunter's Haven on Bloomington Road from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. On Saturday, August 21st, 2021 at 8:15 a.m. here at the church. Immediately following that session, we will do a gas giveaway followed by a parking lot celebration and community giveaway. And on Sunday, August 22nd, 2021 at 11 o'clock a.m. for morning worship. Pastor Johnson has some awesome speakers lined up for the weekend. There will be classes for all ages. So please register to be a part of this great weekend. The ministry seed for this weekend will be $100 for adults and $25 for youth. If you are interested in being a part of the Church Anniversary Committee scheduled for February 2022, please see Minister John Young immediately following Sunday morning worship. To purchase Pastor Johnson's first book project, Looking Within, please go to LaKeeVCJohnson.com, Amazon.com, Kobo.com, Barnes & Noble, or you can see me. Thank you for joining us this Wednesday. Have an amazing evening.